Vos émissions préférées, elles sont toutes sur Radio Grand Lac.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.
Hello, and welcome back to Your English Weekly on Radio Grand Lac 92.1 FM. Bonjour, chers auditeurs, et bienvenue à Your English Weekly sur le 92.1 FM. L'émission qui présente le meilleur de la langue, de la culture et bien sûr un peu de divertissement au milieu de tout ça en anglais. Je suis votre animatrice Sinead et je suis ravie d'être ici aujourd'hui avec Tim. Vous pouvez nous trouver à Your English Workshop à Aix-les-Bains et le revoir. N'oubliez pas, nous allons fermer nos inscriptions pour le stage d'enfants demain. Donc, si vous avez envie que vos enfants fassent un petit stage d'anglais pendant les vacances, n'hésitez pas de nous contacter à Your English Workshop. L'épisode d'aujourd'hui est du niveau A2B1 avec un contenu passionnant, Tim. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Alors, avec non seulement vous allez améliorer vos capacités d'écoute, mais aussi, tout au long, vous allez apprendre des nouveaux vocabulaires, un petit jeu de mots avec Tim, et bien sûr, vous pouvez tout réécouter ça sur le 92.1 sur YouTube, Your English Weekly. Hi, Tim. How are you today?
I'm okay, thanks, Sinead.
Good. So good afternoon, lovely listeners, and welcome back to Your English Weekly, the show that brings you the best of the English language, culture, and of course, entertainment. I'm your host, Sinead, and I'm here with Tim. And Tim, what are you going to talk to us today about?
I'm going to talk about the Beatles' final song.
So you're going to talk about the Beatles, and I'm going to talk about bird watching. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned to hear about the Beatles and, of course, what is bird watching. So you will learn lots of new vocabulary to improve your English language skills.
Yes.
So stay here with us on the 92.1 FM. Okay, so Tim, before we start, tell me what's your pun for today?
Okay, so what did the grape say when it got squashed?
Oh, I know. It whined, didn't it?
Close, it certainly did. Nothing, it just let out a little whine.
Because when somebody whines, they complain. Mm-hmm. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Whereas when you let some juice out of a grape, you get some
wine.
Yeah.
Well,
and
grape juice.
Grape juice, yes, absolutely. And that can be transformed into good wine. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Thanks. So Tim, tell us a little bit about the Beatles. You know that I saw the expo in the Tate.
Oh, yes. Was it
Modern
good?
With Yoko Ono. Yes, there was a part that was dedicated with her time when she was with
John Lennon.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. When they were doing their piece in bed.
Oh, yes.
Their peace and love and demonstrations for peace in the world. And they did it all in bed. It was actually quite interesting.
Right, okay. Well, this is about, actually with the help of AI, which is artificial intelligence. Last year, the Beatles released what is said to be their last ever song.
But that's what they said the last time.
Well, yes, I guess. But this has been put together from old recordings. And of course, this wouldn't be possible without AI.
So what's special about this song?
Well, they managed to, from being able to use artificial intelligence, they've managed to extract lyrics from one of the singers and place it into the song.
Okay,
so even if he's still not around, but they can take out some of his lyrics and place it into a new song.
Okay, amazing. So what vocabulary will our listeners learn today?
A recording.
Un enregistrement, c'est ça?
Yes, late.
Défunte. Feu.
A noisy tape.
Ah, ok. Une cassette de mauvaise qualité.
Throughout.
Tout au long de.
Uncoupling.
Isolement.
Vocal.
La voix.
to bring to life.
Donner nouveau avis ou donner vie à quelque chose.
And anew.
Anew. Donc be careful. Anew, it's together in one word. À nouveau.
Yes.
Okay.
So then, so going to the article, Now and Then has been edited together from a recording of the late John Lennon.
So Now and Then is the name
song.
of the song, isn't
Yes.
it? The name.
The new song, edited from a recording of the late John Lennon playing piano and singing at his home in New York in 1979.
Okay, so it must have been Yoko Ono that found the recording.
Must have been. And they've met this. So AI has extracted usable sections from that noisy tape.
Okay.
And listen to this emotional song on the Beatles YouTube channel. Introduced with this explanation, a software system developed by Peter Jackson and his team, used throughout the production of the documentary series Get Back, finally opened the way for the uncoupling of John's vocal and his piano part.
Okay, so he was actually playing the piano then during that time.
So this could be brought to life and worked on anew with contributions from all four Beatles.
Yeah, so something they haven't done for a long time together.
Well, it's just incredible.
Well, there we are. Technology. Technology has done a lot of things for us today.
Sure, yeah.
Well, not in my case today. So you know what I'm going to talk about, don't you?
Yes, I'm sure it's done stuff for bird watchers too.
Yeah, well, thinking of the protected natural area of the south of the Lake of Bourget, because you know the south is where we will find the actual town, Lac de Bourget.
Yes.
And if you go all the way to the north, what will you find in the north of Lac de Bourget? Conjou. You'll find...
Oh, okay, yes.
On the other side.
Yes.
So we're going to look at the south side of the lake. And on the south side of the lake, you have the shore. Now, what is the shore in French? It's the littoral.
Oh.
So the shore of the lake is the littoral. And on the shore, we have a beautiful area with a lot of diverse wetland vegetation. Wetland vegetation is marécage in French. So thanks to the efforts of the Savoy Department Council and the conservator of the Patrimoine Naturel de Savoie, so the heritage site, that manage and look after these wetlands, the marécage. And in the Lac de Bourget, they have preserved for the benefit, for the advantage of the flora and the fauna, as well, of course, as the visitors and the residents, they created an protected area for bird watching. So it's situated between land and water at the end of the lake. And thanks to the fact that they are located on this big, huge natural lake, there's a lot of aquatic meadows. Now, you have the meadows in the mountains, which is the big pré, and then you have the pré, which is also the meadows at the wetlands, where you've got lots of different species, espèces, that grow there with ponds and all types of different vegetation with woodlands too. And there you can do some bird watching. So what is bird watching, Tim?
You could twist the words there, Sinead, is to watch birds.
Exactly, to watch birds.
Yeah.
And so, if you were to watch birds, what would you use to watch birds, Tim?
I guess you'd probably need some binoculars, wouldn't you?
So what are binoculars?
In French, what is a binocular?
I don't know in French, to be, des jumelles. Des jumelles.
Okay.
So if you were to go and watch birds, you don't need very much, but a good pair
Binoculars.
of binoculars.
I guess they might want to wear some If they have to go into all these wet grasslands, they might want to wear some, how do you say, sort of waterproof trousers.
Waterproof trousers or welly boots.
Welly boots, yes.
Welly boots, say, what do we call welly boots in French? Well, the bottes de pluie.
Bottes de pluie, okay.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Anyway, so you need that. And of course, we are lucky because we have a protected area to watch the birds near the Chateau Thomas in Bourget-du-Lac. So you can go,
Well, that's good. That's
yeah,
very good.
I took my children when they were younger there to watch it.
Okay.
And you must know that the birds here in Lac du Bourget, there are more than 200 bird species, donc espèces d'oiseaux,
right.
because it's a major route for migration between the northern and the southern Europe.
Okay.
So they come here to the Lac du Bourget in the winter, and they more or less breed. Now, what is breeding? The verb to breed.
It's the reproduction, isn't it? French?
Exactly, the reproduction of their species. So it's actually quite passionate.
Yes, for sure. So what other things do you think you would need for bird watching? I guess you'd need to be patient, wouldn't you?
Well, you need to be able to identify the birds. So after, what would be nice is to get a bird book. And
yes,
take your camera. Now with our wonderful cameras, we can literally take pictures, use one of the tools from the apps, exactly, and they can tell us what birds they are. So it's much easier than it was
for sure
many years ago. So yes, so it's very good to be able to know and identify these different species.
Is there any ethical considerations involved when you're bird watching?
Well, when you're of course you need to prioritize. You need to think of their well-being, leur bien-être, because you're in their habitat. So we have to protect them. So you need to be very careful to avoid, I presume, to disturb them, especially during nesting nesting periods.
Yes.
You remember, listeners, last week I spoke about the frelons, about the hornets, and I spoke about nesting. So when they are going to reproduce, so they're sensitive to that. So I would definitely think that there are a lot of ethical considerations. Yes,
and I'm sure there's a community you could join too.
Well, to be honest, I'm not too sure here in Lac du Bourget, but I know that the CALB, they do workshops, they do ateliers, and they organize during the holidays for children. So maybe if you are interested, you can always try to organize with your daughter to go and see one of these workshops. It could be actually quite interesting. And especially the...
educational, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's educational. Yeah. And I think that the younger we learn more about our biodiversity and about who lives around us or what lives around us, the better it is for people to be able to understand nature.
Yes, for sure. I agree with that, because I've seen actually at that area in Lac du Bourget, there's a... Where you're talking about, they have like tortoises there as well, don't they?
And they do indeed, but I'm not too brushed up. I don't know a lot of information about the tortoise.
Right.
And I know that, though, it's important to record. And, and what is recording in French? We just said it earlier.
To record.
Enregistrer. Yeah. So we need to record our sightings, what we see. We need to be able to observe them over time and write down the data for these projects for children. So well, we won't have too much time to go into all of this, but just keep in mind, bird watching is extremely relaxing, and it's a great way to watch and observe our diversity. Well, anyway, listeners, I won't have a lot of time with Tim to talk too much about that. Just keep in mind that we are not here for 2 weeks. We will be back on the 30th after the holidays with Tim, and keep your speaking up. So if I can give you a little tip, is try to repeat phrases, write down your phrases and repeat them to be able to use them in your speech. Well, that's all from us here today on Your English Workshop, but please stay tuned on Your English Weekly, please stay tuned at 5 o'clock. You've got 1 hour, one commune with Jean-Pierre avec le commune de la Biole. Et à 19h30, la 16e, l'émission sur le cinéma avec Kevin et Guillaume, a must to listen to. Et Vincent aussi. Well, everyone, bye to you from us at you.
Your English Weekly. Your English Weekly. La chronique 100% en anglais de Radio Grand Lac avec Sinead.